Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to be talking about coping with stress. Hi there, Chris. Good to see you. Chris, can you remind me about that when I get to that portion? That is amazing, the number of steps you've done. Anyway, so I just wanted to say a very warm welcome to everybody and to let you know that DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week. We work every week at coping with our lives better. On Friday lunchtime, Pacific time, at noon, we talk about coping with our feelings, because the more real we get with our feelings, the happier we will be. And then on Friday evenings at 7 o'clock, we talk about coping with life, because life throws things at us. And we need to continue to be flexible to be able to remain in the present. And then, of course, here on Sunday afternoons, we talk about coping with stress. And as you all know, those of you who are regular viewers, I I cope with more than my fair share, and or not more than my fair share, but definitely my fair share of stress, and especially at the moment. For those of you who don't know, I 6 months ago my house caught fire, and I am about to return home in the next 10 days. So it's just like, yeah, I've been sitting around sort of twiddling my thumbs for 6 months, and now suddenly there is all this activity and stress, and everybody wants everything done immediately. And there's part of me that's going, your lack of planning does not mean I have to stress out. That's what I keep reminding myself. It is not for me to get stressed because they plan everything to happen at the very last moment. That's their business, not mine. And so I look at it and go, we all, as a group of people, the DearMamaSal people, as I like to call them, we hold each other's hands, because in this week, the next couple of days, it's going to be my time in a way. And I know that the whole team will be there to support me with this. But, it goes in rotation. We each have crises that are coming up and going again. And what we do is we all come together to support one another. And I cannot think of a nicer way to live your life than to know you've got a support group of people who get together and who you are going through your life. And so to me, that is what it's all about. And I'm very, very grateful for all the DearMamaSal people who do get together and who do care and do hold each other's hands. So helping you cope with stress is, is definitely a major part of what we do. Today's topic, I want to talk about the best way I know to cope with stress is to keep your expectations real. And that's what I want to just spend a bit of time on today, talking about how do we keep our expectations real. And by the way, we also do other little things like, I'm just going to move the camera a bit here, but how do you like the indoor garden? I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember Bobby Goldsborough's song, Honey. In that song, Honey, there was a line that says, see the tree, how big it's grown. And every time I look at this leek, I don't know if you remember, but this time last week, this part of the leek was this high. And it has literally grown 6 inches in a week. Isn't that amazing? Hi there, Peter. And good to meet you. So isn't that amazing that it's grown that much in a week? And as you will know, if you're regular watchers, I'm busy doing lots of experiments on, this is the bottom of a bok choy that I cut last week, and this is how much it's grown. This is an onion that I decided, just to put in some water to see how long does it take until the greenery comes up. In other words, the spring onion part comes up. And this is now 1 week. And I think that's pretty impressive, don't you? Look at the root system on that. It's just like the roots are already sort of nearly 6 inches. This is a Savoy cabbage that's regrowing. And you can see it's already starting to look like a Savoy cabbage. So, at the back there is a butter lettuce. And when I get home, you know that you're going to be seeing a lot more of this. I'm actually got a plan to make a hanging garden. How many of you would like me to do that? Keep the expectations real. It's going to be my first year of trying to do it. What I want to do is I want to see, is it possible to self-sustain? In other words, if you think about onions, I love the onion taste, but leeks give me onion taste, and look how quickly they regrow. I mean, that to me is an incredible, self-generating food source. And then if you think about it, I want to find out how many lettuces do I need to be self-sustaining. And then, oh, by the way, this is a romaine lettuce that is regrowing. And so, how many cabbage leaves does it take? So I want to just make sure you understand that keeping your expectations at a real level is one of the greatest stress relievers I know. I also want to say that playing in your life. Hola there, Chris, good to see you. And Jeannie, good to see you. And Jody, of course, for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. Hi there, Rinsky, and anybody else who's watching in the shadows. And I say that because I know that so many of you choose to do that. And Peter, it is wonderful to hear that you are big fans. Who doesn't like to hear that? I'm going to keep my expectations low, though. How did you find us? Hi, Beth. Good to see you. Yes, Sunday is food prep day. I always think of you as well. Look at this, Beth. Look how big the tree has grown. This leek has literally grown 6 inches in a week. And I think 2 of those growing at that rate will keep me in onion taste for, probably, it'll be interesting to see how long the leek lasts as I keep cutting it. So here we go. Feel free to participate. But those of you who are in the shadows, if you want to stay there, happy. I am really happy. Just keep learning. My only goal in creating DearMamaSal was that we share knowledge, and that knowledge hopefully would make people happier in some way. And that is the only goal that I have here. I'm not somebody that's really concerned about anything other than, can we each week have one moment where you go, wow, I never thought about that, or wow, that really helps me. So please remember to give it a thumbs up or share it or do whatever you need to do if what we do actually changes something in your life. I have a nice little cartoon that I found, and I thought I'd share it for you. Again, it is about, how about this one? 10 Steps to Happiness. How many of you, have already worked out that the only person who's ever going to make you happy is you? Have you worked that out? It's not fair to give somebody else that job. It is your job to make yourself happy. Don't expect other people to do that. You will just be so disappointed so often. So here we go. Number one thing is, right, hate less, love more. How many of you know that by letting go of hate, you don't need to hate anybody? They're entitled to their opinion, even if their opinion of you is not good. Remember that. Worry less, dance more. Take less, give more, consume less. Right? Remember that part of the reason I'm doing this is, can I be self-sustaining in a better way? So consume less and create more. I need to do more creating, people. I've had too much of the brain stuff recently. Frown less and smile more. How many of you enjoy coming to Dear Mama Sal because occasionally we laugh a lot. And I say laugh a lot because, laughing at ourselves, I think, is the greatest sense of humor, don't you? When you can actually look at, really, did I really think I was ruler of the universe for so long? and then to find out that I wasn't. Oh, I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Fearless and try more. I got some stories about that this week. And judgeless. We are great at judging people. And by the way, if you say, oh, I never judge people, could you give your head a shake, please? We're real in Dear Mama Sal. We all know we judge. We don't mean to, but we do. It's like human nature, right? Watch less and do more. As you all know, and I'm going to be talking about that, one of the reasons I have been able to walk a marathon a week is because I have spent less time sitting on my fat butt and more time standing up and walking while I watch television. Jeannie's saying, you helped me take off some of my stress. Yesterday, we did not do anything about the house. We took a long ride, visited a store, ate delicious Chinese food at a place whose dining was open. There you go. All right. So that's taking a me day, Jeannie, and that is so important to our lives. And I want to say to you that if you expect, for those of you who are religious people and happen to be Christian, there's a reason why Sunday is Sunday, right? Even God, even Christ took a day off on Sundays, and God takes a day off on Sundays. How about the final one of these 10, which is complain less and appreciate more? So with those things in mind, let us remember that life is what it is, and it isn't always easy. I think one of the greatest expectations so many of us have had is that life should be easy, and it isn't. By the way, I left something out last week that I meant to put in, so I thought before we get onto the expectation thing, I just wanted to go with this for a second and let you know that I did a bit of price checking with Jody in New Hampshire. I'm sitting in southern British Columbia in Canada, and also I checked in with Lauren in Australia. And what I wanted to know is, what is the price of steak these days? And what I did is I told them exactly which steak to look for. And I was looking for a prime steak, and just so that I could get an idea of how is the price fluctuating across the world. And what I asked them to do is to convert it into Canadian dollars. And I thought you'd be interested to know that here in Canada, the amount of steak we were looking at was, I think, £1. And it actually comes in at $26 here in Canada. Lauren reported that in Australia, it is the equivalent of 24 Canadian dollars, actually 24.62 to be exact. But Jody in New Hampshire said that hers was 22, well, let's call it $23. That was the lowest price. Sandy, who is on the other side of Canada, said to me that her price was around $28.50. So isn't that interesting? And what I want to do is, on a regular basis, is do a price check so we can see. Jeannie, I think we looked at prime steak, or if I remember correctly. Doesn't really matter, but whatever it was that we checked, all right? Whatever it was that we checked, this was the going price. And so, and forgive me because it was over a week ago now that we did that check. So yes, thank you, Black Magic. Nice to know that we're in Lent 2021, and it'll be on our looking forward thing that we are getting close to Easter now for those of you who celebrate it. All right, so price checking was interesting. And what I thought I would do, as I said, is every now and then check in across the world to find out what is everybody's prices on these sort of things. And Jody, if you can make a reminder for me to make sure I check in with the UK, maybe Linda in the UK or somebody in Ireland, for example, just so we've got, and maybe somebody in, a viewer in India. or in Asia, so we can get an idea of what is happening around the world. I have said every week, and I'm going to continue to say it, think about how many times you create your own stress by your assumptions of what is expected of you. I also think about how many things you get involved in that just give you stress. You don't actually enjoy them. And really to concentrate, if you want to reduce your stress, on living in the present. If you are constantly thinking about the past, you are going to be depressed. You're not going to be a happy camper, all right? Because you cannot change what has happened. You need to let it go and move on. But if you spend all your time being anxious about the future, and that's what anxiety is all about worry. You understand you're not living, you're scaring yourself stupid. Don't let's do that. It's nothing but stress. Work on what can you do today and work on that. And I want to tell you, if you can live in the present, you will be amazed how much difference you make in your own life. Just in terms of birthdays, while I think about it, Sharon's birthday was on the 12th, so happy birthday for Sharon. And then I'll be going home on the 25th, which is literally just over a week away now. And this is packing week. And I say packing week because the boxes will arrive for me to start packing up tomorrow. And that will be, what I'm going to do is pack boxes for each room. In other words, kitchen stuff will go in a kitchen box. Anything that, a box or two of stuff, or a box from I think I can get everything in my bedroom in a box. No, things like comforters and things will, and my beautiful quilts that I got and my painting that I did. That's going to take a bit more than one box, obviously. All right. And then we've got stuff in the bathroom that should be one box. Stuff in the study, which is also my pantry, going to take a few boxes. And the kitchen, nightmare. And then there's the art section, all right, that I've got the easel and all my art supplies that I bought while I was here. So it's going to be quite a bit of packing to do. And I'm pretty certain that I need to be real about how long it really takes. True. And that's why I'm giving myself the week to start packing, knowing it's going to take me 2. But I'm going to start this week. Beth is asked, have I bought the new bed yet? No. And it's going to be a new mattress, Beth, not a new bed, because I already have the bed frame. I've got one of those automatic bed frame things. Lifts your head up, lifts your feet up. Yeah. One of those things. So what I want is to get a new mattress. And I can't order that because I have nowhere to put it at the moment. And so what I'm busy doing this week as well, Beth, is I am making a list of the things that I will order early next week to be delivered next week. Because I'm pretty certain there are going to be people at my house pretty much all of the time next week. And, because they're panicking to get everything finished. And so that's how I'm going to do it. My expectation is that it will be chaos central at my house this time next week. So my expectation is that packing will take me at least a week, even though I don't have a full house. I just have what's here. But you'll be amazed how much I've collected. You probably won't be amazed. You know me quite well. I wanted to talk a little bit in terms of that about a friend of mine decided that she was going to have the vaccine. And the problem was that she had a history of reacting to vaccines. Now, can you imagine because she'd had a bad reaction to one vaccine, and I think, Jeannie, didn't you say that you once had a bad reaction as well? So if you've had a bad reaction to a vaccine, does it make sense that your expectation will be negative? Hang on one second. Just bear with me one second. Okay, they're gone anyway. So if you think about it, if your reality is that you have had a bad reaction to a vaccine, then obviously you are going to be fearful. And so my question about this is, how many of you relate to that your expectation of fear or pain or unpleasantness, actually 9 times out of 10 is far worse than your reality? Have any of you found that your fearful expectations very rarely are quite as bad as you imagine them? And so you look at it and you go, if you know that to be true, if you know that, I believe that the statistics are something like 85% of what we fear most doesn't happen. All right. So if your expectation is negative, Jody probably has the information on this, but you understand what you do to your body. All right. If you believe the worst is about to happen, you know that your adrenaline is going to be affected. You know that your whole mindset is going to be affected. You're going to be a little more snippy than usual. And I want you just to be really aware of that. Rinsky, hi there. She's saying, yes, it's true. A lot of times with how bad things turn out compared to my thinking of how it would go. Yeah, and so here's the thing. This person that was so scared about the vaccine, they went and had it. And I've already had an email saying, boy, it's not nearly as bad as I thought. But apparently day 3 of that vaccine is likely to be the worst one. And isn't that the same thing like in operations? If any of you have had an operation, the most painful day sometimes is day 3, and there's a good reason for that. Day 1, you're just so pleased to be alive. You came out of the operation, you're alive, yay. And your adrenaline and your whole body is working on that. And day 2, you've still got a lot of drugs in you that are coming down and so forth. By day 3, you feel what's really going on. And so to me, this day 3 thing is quite normal. Now, Jody, I just want to check whether I can tell your story as well, because I think that was a very real and very important stress story, how you coped with what you had to go through this week. So let me know if it's okay for me to tell everybody. And the reality that we have is, I want you to think for a moment, Jeannie's saying that she's going to be moving back into her house on June 1. Let me ask you something, Jeannie. How much stuff have you collected? You've been out of your house, I think, longer than I have by a couple of months. And so how much stuff do you think? Right. And Jeannie's saying we've selected inside doors, outside lighting, floors, and more. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so Jody's given me the okay to tell her story. Jody's about to have an operation, and that is to help her lose weight. She's done an incredible job. She's already lost over 100 pounds of weight, but now they want to help her, and they want to give her this lap band surgery. And so the thing is, though, that they need to have her go through certain steps before they will do the surgery. And one of the steps is they had to do a scan of her digestive system so they can see what they're working with. And that required that they get her on an X-ray table and do various, inject her with dye, probably. I'm making that one up, Jody. I'm presuming they injected you with dye. Or had you swallow radioactive type material? I call it radioactive type material. You swallow a contrast medium that will show up on an X-ray. Let's put it that way. I've had it done, so Jody, I know all about that stuff. And so what happens is that what they do is they get you on the X-ray table, and then they shift the X-ray table a little bit, and then if they can't get the picture they want, they then move you a little bit until they can get that liquid to move a bit to the next part, and then they shift. What they're trying to do is to get that liquid to go through the whole of your intestinal system so they can keep taking pictures of it. So here you go. Now, this in itself is scary. I think anybody that has to go and do that is a little bit concerned. Jody had absolutely 101 reasons to be concerned. Number one, she knows she's going to be lying on a steel table. And not only that, you understand Jody has fibromyalgia. Jody has, which means she's hypersensitive on anything. She also has shoulder issues where, her shoulders are extremely painful in the normal scheme of things. She has back issues. You name it, Jody suffers from it and lives on some pretty, a pretty good cocktail of painkillers to be able to help her even function in a normal day. Here was the thing, above everything else that she had reason to be scared of, they then said, you cannot take any painkillers from midnight, the day of the X-ray. Now, I don't know if any of you can feel the stress of that. So already, our incredible hero, Jody, is going in to do this. She's, already done so much work to make this possible. And now they're asking her not to take any painkillers. And Jody, I don't know how you coped with that, quite honestly. And so maybe you can tell us, what did you do to keep your expectation of the pain level as low as you could? What did you do to keep your fear of what was going to happen to you on that X-ray table at a minimum? What did you do? Perhaps you can let us know. But I'm hoping the rest of you, just in hearing the story, did any of you flinch just hearing that story of what she had to go through? But you see, there's part of me that goes, I know Jody pretty well after all these years, that she concentrates on what she can do, and she also concentrates on why she's doing it. Do you think that for Jody, maybe 8 hours of excruciating pain was worth the outcome that was going to become possible because of that? And, I think of those of you who have become mothers and go, if anybody had told you the true pain of giving birth to children, how many of you are going, yeah, maybe I would have rethought that one. And yet you went ahead and had a second one or a third. And so you look at it and you go, some things in life, we are willing to tolerate the unpleasantness, the pain, the chaos, the whatever, because of what is the end result. Yes, Beth is saying having twins made her rethink. Yeah, and you know something, Beth? It's very important for people to understand that we may rethink it, but we may still go ahead and do it. This is, it is the most amazing. I want to tell you something that, getting my leg out of a riding boot when my ankle was broken, rather than cut the boot, made me rethink about how sane I was. But, I just kept remembering how much I paid for that boot. And I don't know why that always comes back to me. It was like, I just paid an awful lot of money for those boots, and there is no way I am cutting them, And so I just remember knowing it was going to be extremely painful, and it was. And, luckily, everything went well. And, I got my ankle set properly. And today that ankle is probably stronger than my other one. Jodie's giving us some feedback. She said, I watched videos about what to expect and during the procedure. I knew I was going to be in a high level of pain, but I kept my mind on the goal of completing the test. Yes, I focused on that the whole time. And Jeannie, forever supportive, says, you are so brave, Jodie. And, and Jeannie also said, Jodie is a trooper who has taught us a lot. Yes, and I want you all to know that each of us, Jeannie, I'd like you to remember that you've taught us a lot about how to cope with your life being turned upside down. Rinsky says, it sounds so scary, Jodie, and the reason that it does, Rinsky, is because it is. Beth is saying, in terms of giving birth to the twins, she said it was more an issue of gaining weight than actual the kids. Now that I think about it, I can't believe I thought my size made any difference to my decisions. It seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah. And Jodie's saying, I didn't complete the test. If I didn't complete the test, that equaled not proceeding with the surgery. So I was highly motivated. So you were highly motivated to expect the pain, but I really know that you didn't expect the worst. You knew that although it was going to be excruciatingly painful, that you would cope, Jodie. I really got a sense of that. That you knew that it was something you could tolerate if you had to, like childbirth, right? If you had to, you could tolerate it. I go back to the story. Remember the story about, was it Ashley Judd that broke her leg in multiple places in the Congo and had to be literally carried out on a hammock type stretcher, hammock thing, for 5 hours or something ridiculous. And she's got bits of bone sticking out of her leg. Now, what she knew was, yes, it was excruciatingly painful, but that was the only way she was going to live. All right. If she didn't go through this, she wasn't going to get out of where she was and be able to have that surgery to put her leg back together again as best as possible. I haven't heard an update on that, by the way. So I want you to see that when we have expectations, it is a good idea to remember that expecting the best isn't always your best stress release. Beth is saying that her daughter had weight loss surgery and she is now normal weight for her age and height. Yeah. Jodie now was telling me, and Beth, you probably know a lot about this as well, that one of the things that will happen is there will be certain foods that she will never be allowed to eat again. And so you have to really want this surgery. You have to be somebody that's not going to cheat too much, because you have to agree that you will never eat these certain foods again. Jodie, do you want to give us some idea of which ones you're not going to be allowed to eat anymore? Jodie says that failure was not an option. I knew I could do it without meds, no matter how uncomfortable. I just didn't know if the technician could get the positioning they needed with her mobility issues. Or may I say, Jodie, your lack of mobility issues. Beth is saying, yeah, she can only eat very little. She got sick a few times for not eating enough, but then corrected it. Yes, the trick is, isn't it, that you have to eat enough. And that is part of, but it's enough of the right sort of food. And I know that Jody has had the practice diet going on. And one of the difficult things is to eat enough protein, if I'm correct on that, Jody, and that they actually ask you to eat X% protein. And she has found that that's actually quite difficult to do. What percent of protein was it, Jody? So I want you all to help me for a second. Because maybe if you think about what Jeannie's about to go through and what I am about to go through, you can understand that there is balance. Everything in life, if you want to be happy, you need balance. If you want to have financial security, you need balance. If the life is about balance. So here's my question. What things do you expect to go right in my move? And what things can you think of that might go wrong in my move? And let's talk about what is plan B, C, D. What have I come up with? Because if we do this, we're going to be helping Jeannie make sure she's got her ducks in a row. You're going to help me as well. So let's think about that. Right. So Jody is saying on her diet that she needs to do this operation, she needs to input about 90 to 120 grams of protein a day. All right. So think about that. And we do know that, like getting diabetes or anything else, it's going to be a learning curve of, yes, I can have that. No, I can't have that. Yes, I can have that. No, I can't have that. It was one of my joys to find out that midnight mini wheats and a cup of 2% milk didn't spike my blood sugar in a horrible way. It's just like, if I want an evening snack, I know I can put that in and it's not going to be too bad. All right, so Jeannie's saying, have I bought the 2 rugs that I require to go beneath my bed and the heavy table? Yes, I bought 3. I bought one for the dining room table to go on, one for the living room set to go on, and one for the bed to go on. But Jeannie, funnily enough, I didn't buy the sort of rugs I thought I would. And I don't know if I have made a completely wrong choice, but we will find out when I put them down. I wanted to create a sort of beach cottage type feel inside my home. And because it is so light and bright, it always feels like it's summer in there, even in the middle of the winter. So what I wanted to do was to have that light feeling. And I had, part of me wanted to go shag, Jean, because of the fact that I had, that those beautiful gray floors, and I thought white shag would look so good. But then I remembered that Clarence, the cleaner, my robot cleaner, would definitely have a problem with shag. So then I thought, no, as much as I would like shag, I got to rethink that. So we'll see. I don't want to spoil it for you, but we'll see whether what I chose worked. But what I thought was, I bought a slightly smaller rug to go under my bed, because I think I'm going to put Flacati rugs next to my bed. I love those white fluffy rugs. What about you guys? And I thought they're light enough and easy enough. If they are just, a couple of Flacatis, I can pick them up, shake them, and throw them on the bed and let Clarence do his thing. I also may do a similar thing where I sit every day, because I think putting your feet on Flacatis is a very warming thing. And I do remember from the house before that, because it's sitting on cement, that, and it doesn't have great insulation underneath, that the floors were pretty cool. So that is one thing that I'm thinking about. I haven't bought them yet because I want to see how the rugs that I've got already the ones I bought look. So I didn't spend a lot of money on rugs. And the reason for that is I don't know how much I'm going to have to rebuy. And I also don't know how much money I'm going to get back. So to spend a lot of money now is not a good idea, because I may never see a return on that money. You know what I mean? I might not get that back. All right, good thinking. What else do I need to think about in terms of... Yes, Jeannie's saying our rugs were a huge item. A company washed them 5 times or more. Some were destroyed and some are okay. Well, I've got a feeling that my rugs will probably come back to me. But here's the thing, they're brown. And and I've got gray floors now. So I might put one brown one in my spare room or not. I might just not put a rug in the spare room at all, and just leave it, because the spare room is going to become my art room, which was the original plan. All right, so what else can you think of? Did you hear that my freezer, after surviving all through the winter, is suddenly empty, which means somebody didn't plug it back in, and that's what's happening. Yes, Beth is saying I could use my old carpets as drop cloths for when I paint. And that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah, and I'm thinking about, can I paint the rugs gray? That's another thought. I don't, and so to me, I'm not overbuying at the moment. I am literally only buying what I have to have. I have to have a mattress to sleep on. That'd be a really good idea. Yes, I'm thinking about dyeing them gray, and I've been doing a bit of research. You actually can paint them with acrylic paint. And guess what? I've got lots of acrylic paint. And I'm pretty certain I'm going to have acrylic paint left over from the house being painted. And that's exactly Beth saying, make my old rug a paint project. How many of you would love to see what that looks like? And if I did it in the art studio, it would be an art project, but also it would be a really good idea, right? It's just like, and how well does it wear? That's the other thing. Yes, it works, but how long does it last? And if I've got it in my studio, does it really matter? So I am thinking about doing that, very seriously thinking about doing that. And by the way, did you know that you can pick up gray paint from any paint recycle place for free? You all know that, right? And the reason for that is because when you mix all paint colors together, I know that as an artist, if you mix all paint colors together, if you put leftover paint all into one container, it is gray. It's the most amazing thing. It's just very slightly different shades of gray. If you've got a bit more red in this time than blue this time, or whatever, or black or whatever, it's just slightly different shades of gray. And that's one of the reasons I thought it would be a really interesting thing to do, because, I could even do touch-ups and stuff, and it's just like, I think it'll be an interesting project. And I was pretty certain you guys would be interested to see it. And so that's what I'm going to try. Good thinking. Anything else you can think of? Okay, so Jeannie's saying, you said no to some people. Yeah, I did. That gave me courage to say no when somebody asked me to look up 5 canceled checks. It felt great. It's just like, I'm a great believer. I said no 2 times last week, Jeannie, I think. One was about moving all that stuff into the apartment. And then the other thing was, the lighting story. All right, that big lighting list I did. I went through it all, had it all on a spreadsheet, had the pictures in there, had the allocated money, had the amount I actually spent left to reserve for them to buy the bulbs. All that was great. And then suddenly the two main light fixtures that I knew were in the house, when I went to go and see the house last week, they were gone. And I don't mind telling you, I did think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, WTF, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday went through my mind. And in fact, there were two of them, right? One was, why is the freezer lid open? And I looked inside and I went, and why is it empty? And then it was like, and where are the light fixtures? But it is what it is. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that the reason my freezer is empty is some bozo unplugged it to move it and then didn't plug it back in again. I mean, I don't even have to have them tell me that. That has to be what happened. And I'm thinking, it was nearly full. It was over 3/4 full of food. You guys all remember, I saved up to buy the thing, and then I systematically filled it with roasts and bacon and the things that would keep me going as I knew the price would escalate. And I'm waiting to see what their suggestion is about my refilling it. Jeannie's saying, Jeannie, it's wonderful. I give you a big hug. Jeannie's saying, I've been a yes girl doing what others have trouble with. Yes, and it's until you learn to say no. And no is a complete sentence as well. You don't have to justify it. And as you know, I have this trick where I ask people the insane questions. Would you really ask your mom to do that? And it's so funny how many times they go, what? I said, no, you just asked me to do something. I'm a white hair. Tell me, would you ask your mom to do that? Or maybe your grandma? Or would you be quite upset if somebody asked them to do that? And it's amazing how well it works. That's interesting. Beth is saying, it's kind of weird to think that I would change my locks because all the workers in the house first. Oh, so the first thing you would do is change all the locks in case somebody copied your key? Interesting. Well, they only had the key to my front door. So that is, it's an option. I'm not sure that I would do it first, but I think it's a very good security thing to do. Thanks for the input. Worth a thought. Good. Anything else that you can think of? And what I'm talking about is, what is your expectation when I go home? How many of you are expecting me to show you pictures of my house beautifully put together and, life goes on as it was before I left? I hope not, because that's not my expectation at all. What about you guys? I expect to go back with some things being in place and some things being in totally the wrong place, and a lot of boxes that they cannot unpack because I have nowhere for them to unpack it to, because I cannot buy the bedroom furniture until I move in because they need the space to finish up. If they don't want me bringing furniture into it yet. So I'm going to have to get home before I can get furniture in. So you understand that, I won't be able to unpack for probably a month until everything gets back in. So Jeannie's saying, I expect you to need time to readjust. Yes, how many of you know that getting my indoor garden set up will be important to me? Isn't it funny, the things that you probably know enough about me? I'm going to be moving my indoor gardens, because, by the way, I've got an indoor herb garden beginning to grow as well. First, I want to do that myself, right? I don't want somebody who doesn't like plants doing that. Yeah, thank Thank you, Beth. Beth saying, I think you'll get overwhelmed after the initial joy of being home, just like moving the first time. Absolutely. You see, I know that's reality. I am expecting that week of around about the 24th, 25th, and then Friday will be the 26th, where I hope to do a broadcast. But I don't know if the internet will be working properly. And I know that I will make sure that you guys know that I will or will not be doing it. I will say to everybody right now, presume I will do a broadcast on that Friday and 2 of them. If you don't hear otherwise, because, I like to believe the best, but I like to also plan for what if I don't have proper internet. And so, and maybe I won't be able to do it from the cupboard yet. I don't know. And maybe the look behind me won't be the one that you want to see yet, but it'll be coming back. You know that. Hi, Kimmy. Good to see you. And so you understand that if I expect everything to go perfectly, shame on me. That would not be realistic. By the way, I've had you remember I brought my printer with me. When I moved to the 2 different hotels, my printer worked beautifully. And the moment I came to this place, it did not want to interact with the Wi-Fi here. Now, my question is, will my printer want to work when I go home? I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. By the way, when I, go into my craft room, do I still have the cubies, or did they have to throw all the cubies away? I haven't heard about the cubies from the craft room being thrown away. When I went through that 64-page document, yes, the cubies that were in my bedroom, a lot of those got destroyed, and also the cubie units, those big, beautiful, big cubie units with the rattan baskets in them and everything, they had to go. But I can't remember. I know what little storage I had in the guest bedroom. That had to go. So there's going to be a lot of challenge. And so my expectation is chaos. How many of you, I notice that I'm laughing about that. And my expectation is chaos. My expectation is that I may or may not sleep on my own bed the first couple of nights, or I may be sleeping on the futon, or even my living room couch. My expectation is that my TV might end up on the floor. My expectation is that life is going to be pretty chaotic. All right, so Beth is asking, have you been into the house yet? Can you go in when the workers are not there to get info you need for shopping? I've been doing that every week, Beth. Every week I go late in the afternoon, and I think I've only twice met a worker in there, and that was the flooring guy was there. I'm pretty certain this week will be busier, but I go at least once a week to go and see what's going on and take pictures. For example, I got pictures of how they're doing with the, I wanted to see how the wall-to-wall shower was coming along. Let me see if I can. Have I still got them on my phone here, or have I taken them off my phone? Okay, so Beth. So that is now the walk-in shower getting roughed in. Which is quite exciting to me. Yeah, it's going to be a literally wall-to-wall shower. And, I definitely wanted that. And you see very low rise as well. So if I had to end up with a walker, I could do that. And notice there's plenty of space there between the vanity and the wall. So that's going to be good. What else did I see that was important? They got the new colors in. They're working on that. So those are the two colors. All right, the deep charcoal accent wall, and then the regular ones. So that's going to be, and then the white, I think, really makes it pop. So that's coming along nicely. And then what else would you want to see? I think that's really it. There's quite honestly, my expectation is to be, I think a lot like Jody, all right? The kitchen should be just as it was, Kimmy. Except at the moment, my oven has a ding in it where somebody moved it back and they chipped out a piece of paint. But I'm pretty certain they know how to fix that. I'm not worried about that. And it's the other thing is, I was amazed how much cleaning up they did this week. It actually smelled like a home again this week. No, not. Remember I went through months of it smelling like smoke. And I didn't, quite honestly, I didn't think it was ever going to stop smelling of smoke. But I have to say that I noticed the last 2 weeks I've walked in there, absolutely no smell of smoke. Then it became a smell of dust, because all that dust, they cut all the flooring inside the house and it was dust everywhere. But guess what? They have now scrubbed all the ventilation system out. So any minute now, I'm going to have a home. I don't think the kitchen is going to be much changed. They're going to put the units back. They had to remove a couple of units to get to the wiring because, that they had to check every piece of wiring in the house. What color are the floors? Okay. Hang on a second. I think we've shown them before, but I'll show you again. Let me just get to them here, Kimmy. Just hold on 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, they are gray. Can you see that? It actually looks a little bit taupey in that picture, but they actually are gray. And that is the accent wall in the living room. And that's why I need new carpets, is because my carpets are taupe and tan sort of colors. So, and by the way, I thought about, just leaving the carpets. And if I need to, I will do that. But, they were 20 years old. So, I thought maybe it was time I had a fresh carpet in there. So now then, okay, so we thought about it. Beth, thank you for mentioning the food. If you think about it, I've got all my day-to-day food here, which means when I take it back, I'm going to have the basics. That makes sense, Beth. So I'm not worried about the food. Plus, I've already got a larder here, a pantry here of backup food. Not a whole lot, but enough to keep me going for, a couple of weeks. And with today's technology, I can get what I need in pretty fast, just by ordering it online and paying $10 to have it delivered immediately. I can do that pretty easily. So that at the food side of it, I'm not so worried about, except that I just now have lost a complete freezer full of food. Jody, can you make a note about that, the freezer replacement cost? Because I'm going to need to replace it at today's prices, not the prices from 6 months ago. You know, so I've got to think what was in there. And I don't know, quite honestly. I never thought to document that. Mind you, I didn't think I was going to have a fire, did I? So good thinking. All right, anything else you can think of? We know that the electricity is working. Oh, I did speak to the restoration people, because I told them that there might be a delay in getting all the lighting in because of the debacle of them making me change my shopping list. But you know what they said to me is, don't worry, Sal, if you need emergency lighting, we will help you do that. And so, you know, I'm not worried about the light side of it. I'm going to have lights. Will they be the right lights? Did I make the right choices when I did it all on the internet? Hey, maybe not. But you know, why would I worry about it? I mean, you guys know me pretty well. How bad a choice do you think I made? Maybe a couple. I'm expecting that. You know, I'm expecting not to like a couple of the choices I made online, or it looked a whole lot better online than it does in reality. But do I have to change it immediately? No, I need lights, right? Do I think there are going to be a lot of things I don't know I'm missing until I actually move back. And when I go to lean, you know, to where I used to keep these stuff next to my bed, I'm thinking about those things. For example, when they did that list of what was destroyed, I know there were at least 2 sets of earbuds, that I kept wound around my light thing. And they weren't on the list. So I'm adding things to the list. I'm thinking about my ankle braces, I noticed the compression stockings went on there. You know, I'm thinking about, and thank you, Jeannie, because you actually reminded me about the things that are not on the list. But again, I don't know. Did they take them and wash them? And am I going to see them back? Until I move back in, I won't know. Kimmy's asking, did I pick out all the colors? Yes, that's part of my job. And it is the reason that I painted this picture in these colors, because I knew I was going back to a gray and charcoal type palette, if you like. And so I wanted a picture that would remind me of my time here, but I did it in grays and charcoals so that it would fit in with the new house. Where am I going to put it? Good question. Maybe you can help me when I get back. We'll decide where's the right place for it. All right, so what else do we need? We thought about food. We thought about electricity. Jeannie, what else do I need to think about? I've definitely got a bath mat. I tried to think what would be dangerous for me going back. I bought some just regular bath mats to throw on the floor in the bathroom, pro tem, you know, in the meantime, until I decide what to do with the bathroom. And I think I bought 4 because I don't know how they're going to fit, you know. And so, you know, because tile can be slippery, especially new tile that's just gone down. And I did buy a big bath mat to go in the shower, you know, as big a one as I could find, so that when I get into the shower, then I'm on a solid surface. All right, so that's safety. What else can you think of anything else? You see, this is part of lowering expectations and yet planning for things that could go wrong. I'm amazed. I expected to spend a lot of time cleaning up around the house, and they've already started to do that. I happened to go there this week, and I saw that all the surround at the back of the house has been swept beautifully. And, you know, things that they had, you know, they use shovels and things, and they're all hanging up in the right places again. And I'm going, it's beginning to look quite tidy back here. Pots and pans in the kitchen, that would all be part of what they unpack on the 24th. I think it's the 24th. So this is how they do it. They're telling me that it will all go back into the house on the 24th. They'll unpack it on the 25th. And then I will broadcast on the 26th. I am hoping that the 25th will be, that I will be in my home to sleep. Hi, Colette, good to see you. How long have I been at the hotel? This is actually a furnished apartment. I was in the first hotel for a couple of weeks. Then I moved to another hotel for about a month. No, maybe another couple of weeks. Then I moved in here. This is a furnished apartment. I moved in here, I think, the second week in November. So bins in the bathroom to put in small items such as lipsticks, brushes, and so forth. You didn't see the broadcast. Hang on a second. Wait a minute. I don't need to do that. Okay, I just realized I've got a picture of that somewhere. The reason I'm saying that, what's taking so long for them to restore my home? Actually, the first thing, Colette, was they had to wait for the permits. And, you have to wait to get official permits, and that took months. And only then can they start doing the renovation. So they've done a pretty good job. I knew it was going to take 4 to 6 months. I think they thought I was going to be home in 4 months, 5 maybe. That's why they gave me 6 months. But the truth is, I know I got a picture of this somewhere, people. It's coming up. Oh, that's right. I was too far back. Interesting. Yes. Jeannie's saying that her husband, York, surprised her by telling the fireman to save my nebulizer machine. I want to assure you that my CPAC machine also came up very quickly as a, please go back and get it for me. All right, so Colette, is it Colette who's, no, who was it that asked me about the bins? Jeannie. Okay, Jeannie, so I don't know if you can see this. I'm already doing that. As you can see, I've got Kleenex boxes that I've used for bigger stuff. And my lipsticks are all in a raspberry container, a double pack raspberry container. And so I'm already working on that for temporary stuff. Make sense? But good thinking, because, yes, about the CPAC machine, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's a machine that helps me breathe at night. That I did take that out the first night. No, I lie. I had them take it and professionally clean it. I think I slept 2 nights without it. Coco, what the? Thank you, honey. And how are things in Oklahoma? How wonderful to see you. For those of you who don't know, Coco, which is what I'm going to call her because that's who she is to me. Coco was one of my original viewers way back when in the days of blog TV. Oh, gosh. And who my heart skips a beat whenever I see her and see her name, because Coco has this incredible story about not letting expectations other people's expectations get in the way of her happiness. Coco, can I tell the story, please? May I? I know I can, but may I? They're two different things there. One is my ability to be able to tell it. The other is, do I have your permission? And the reason I would like to tell the story is because, boy, I am certain a lot of people. Okay, so imagine this. Coco, just correct me where I get things wrong, Coco. Coco is living somewhere, can't remember where. She has two sons in school, and I think they were about 8 or 9 at the time, if I remember correctly. And then Coco meets somebody online. And she decides to pull up stakes, take the children out of school, and move all the way to Oklahoma to live with this guy. Now, how many of you can think of an awful lot of reasons not to do that? All right? And I can assure you that Coco got more than her fair share of people giving her their opinion about how risky it was, all the things that could go wrong. How can you pull the kids out of school? And, it just went on forever, didn't it, Coco? And, the funny thing is, there was this part of me that tried to make sure that when I spoke about it, that I gave a balance on both sides. In other words, I'm pretty certain you've thought about these things, but boy, how exciting must this be? And she made the move, regardless of what everybody else thought. Regardless of what everybody else thought. And I am certain, I've never actually asked, but I'm pretty sure, and maybe you can help us here, Coco, what percentage of the input that you got from people was negative? And how long ago was it now? The boys are 19 now? You are joking. Has it been? It can't have been. They must have been older then when you did the move. How old were they when you did the move? Must be 8 years ago. They were 8. All right, wasn't that far off? Wow. And it's all worked out. You've lived there 8 years now. Yeah, that's, and that's why I'm saying, because I remember it happening very early on in my DearMamaSal days. You dated for 3 years before. Okay. So you think about it. How many of you felt that and just went, dreams do come true? Yeah, Rinsky for one. You see, I love my romantic followers. And so you built a new home, and I think we are getting married on the 22nd next year. 2/22/22. Isn't that wonderful? And Coco, the fact you would pop in today of all days is just wonderful to me. It touches my soul. Because, it is stories such as yours, that I have had over the years of DearMamaSal that really remind me why we do what we do. And, I am so fortunate that every now and then people who were going through such a difficult time at the time come back and tell me what's now going on in their lives. To me, it touches my soul. You know that. I mean, you know me well. Well, you're here all the time still. But what you do is you cook and listen at the same time. Well, that's what you're one of those people that's in the shadows. And, you know, are you still learning things? I guess you must be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be wasting your time. You don't strike me as somebody that likes to waste their time. For those of you who don't know, Coco is a nurse. And so very pragmatic sort of person, not somebody who's prone. And I think that was something a lot of people didn't factor in when they were making all the judgments on what she was doing, is hang on a second. She's a, you know, I always kept thinking to myself, you know, she is a nurse. And you know, nurses are not what I call fanciful people, right? They don't make ill-informed decisions. So I think by virtue of the job, you've got to think about what people do in their lives, all right? And it's like nursing requires that you think a lot. Yes, and you guys met on Blog TV. Amazing. You know, and it's just like, and Blog TV didn't last much longer, did it? I mean, it folded March 2012, I think. But I'm very grateful for it because I'd never have met you guys. And, you know, it was wonderful. So the expectation everybody had is that Coco would be making the wrong decision. The expectation that everybody had was based on their fear, but also their love, if you think about it. What everybody wanted to do was to make sure that she understood that it could all, you know, go down the toilet and, you know, and she would end up homeless, kids out of school, no money, and there were, you know, I understood that. But, you know, if you concentrate on the glass half empty scenario, you will never see any of the glass full, half full. And so I didn't have any doubt that Coco had thought through the negatives. She's a nurse. I also know her to be an incredibly bright sort of person. Therefore, if the world came to a grinding halt, I knew that she would manage. Why? It's her mentality. It's like Jodie or Jeannie, or you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's like when you've got the right mentality, the risk isn't as great. And imagine if she hadn't done it. Would she have spent the rest of her life saying, I wish I had? And so I want to go back to my comment about the expectation. I am not expecting things to go perfectly when I go home. I'm not even expecting to like the rugs I bought. Why? I bought them as temporary rugs if necessary. I bought them because I needed something under those tables and I didn't want it to be brown rugs. So my need to have the right color, can you understand that? My need to have the right color was more important than getting exactly the right rugs. Knowing that they probably would last me quite a while if I wanted to, while I saved up to get the rugs I would really like. And I'm pretty sure that I will end up putting one of the brown rugs in my craft room because you hardly see the floor in the craft room, you know. And I probably will put one, as you know, in the guest bedroom because that's going to be the art room. And then we'll do the big art project, which is, can I paint this rug? And then if it works in the art room, I'll do the one in the craft room. So you look at it and go, my expectation is not for everything to go well. My expectation is it's probably going to be a nightmare, but not a bad one. But guess what? You all know me well enough to know I can probably cope with a nightmare. True? Right, so before we go today, a couple of things I wanted to make sure, all right? Keep your expectations lower. You will be pleasantly surprised more often. Things will go wrong, but that is life. Be prepared to be flexible in your life, right? For example, Coco expected things to probably go wrong. It's possible. But she was prepared to be flexible enough to try it. Don't worry about things before they happen. All right? Think about what could go wrong and plan around that, but don't worry about things before they happen. Plan for the best, but don't expect it. And always have your backup plans in mind. In other words, what am I going to do if those rugs look terrible? Well, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave them there for as long as it takes me to get the rugs I want. It's quite simple. And what if the lighting is wrong? Guess what? They're going to stay there until I have found the ones I like. And what if I leave something here? What if I forget something here? Well, I'm certain I won't be the first person. By the way, how many of you expect me to spend the next 2 weeks cleaning here? How many of you would care so much about what people thought about you that you would make sure you left this place perfect? Can I get a show of hands on that one? How many of you literally, as you were packing up, would make sure that you did a really good job of cleaning up where you'd been? You see, my thinking is this. I think I probably will a little bit, but basically, I wouldn't give a damn. They've been paid a whole lot of money for me to be here, and I know a whole cleaning crew is going to come in and redo this place after I leave. Yeah. So I'm not going to worry about scrubbing everything to perfection because I don't care what they think of me. Is anybody laughing right now? And it's like, how many people do you know that would clean up before a cleaning lady came in? It's just like, I really don't care. I will do my best not to make a mess of it too much, but I'm not going to worry about, did I get into every corner or whatever? No. And, I will do the minimum because it's not, I've paid to have this place, part of the rent of this place was to have a cleaning crew come in every other week, but I refused it because of the pandemic. But here's the thing. Do you think they've had more than enough money of the money to be able to afford to get 2 cleaning crews in here for a week if they need to? So I'm not worried. By the way, spring cleaning, before I go, think about this one. How about, has anybody started cleaning their windows? Right? So this is probably the time. Let's think about spring cleaning. If you haven't cleaned your windows for a while, how about 1 a week? Just work your way around wherever you live. 1 a week. By the way, from my experience, cleaning a window you can do during the commercial break on television. It's very simple. If you only concentrate on one window. And sometimes if it's the big picture window, it could take 2 commercial breaks, but it's possible to do. So let's start. By the way, all my windows will be clean inside and out. Do I care? So there are some things I'm really looking forward to, and that would be one of them. I don't have to worry about spring cleaning because they will clean. And by the way, I want to let you know, Chris, how many steps did you say you did this week? I want to tell you, I did complete my 3rd marathon walking 57,057 steps last week. Well, yeah, up until midnight last night. And so that is the 3rd marathon in 3 weeks continuously. And now, my expectation is that I will do a 4th one. How many of you think that I might be able to get a 4th one in with what I'm doing? How many of you know I'm going to be running backwards and forwards quite a bit? So I think the need to top up. What I do is I put in a solid half an hour to 3/4 of an hour in the morning while I watch the news. I used to sort of sit down, put the news on, and I don't do that now. I sit down, answer a couple of emails, and then when I'm ready to exercise, I turn on the news and I walk while I'm watching the news. And so then I get all caught up and then I carry on. Yes, the professional cleaners will come in to this place, and I've already asked them to make sure that all my cupboards get cleaned out before they start putting things back in. So, you look at it and go, I'm actually, don't have to worry about spring cleaning this year. The place is going to be dust-free. All the vents are going to be clean. The furnace has already had a complete makeover, cleaning thing. By the way, I've got a really old furnace there, but they're recommending I don't replace it because it's a workhorse, and it actually works better than a lot of the modern furnaces. So that's all being cleaned. Look at that. Chris did 259,000 steps last week. That is just so mind-blowing to me. Hang on one second. I've got to get my little... Wait a minute, Chris. I've got to have a look at this for a second. Because I've got to... I do somewhere. So how many hours a week does that take you? Or how many hours a day does that take you? That's amazing. Now, what I'd also like you to think about is, how many of you agree that maybe the most important thing that I can do is to go home, do the bare minimum for a week, knowing I've got the rest of my life to get this lot sorted out? I do not have to be like a Benji. You see, I am not one of those people where it has to be perfect so I can show off to all my neighbors, right? I don't have to impress anybody, not even you guys. What I need to do is to keep my stress level to a minimum. That is my goal. To keep my stress level to a minimum. When I do that, I will have a good chance of being happy. To keep my sense of humor. Jody, I am pretty certain when you were on that metal slab and they were doing the x-rays, I bet you had the technicians laughing. And I don't even have to think about that. I know that you would have had some quirky remark and that you would make sure that they were smiling and happy because you knew that was the way you would get the best attention from them. But that is also, I know that is who you are. That when you are stressed, you get to be funnier, not, you don't dwell on it. Interesting. Chris is saying that his joints have been acting up since he got the vaccine. Good to know. And yes, Jenny, we will continue to keep Zephyr's health in mind. Would you like us to put up more thoughts and prayers? And Jody is confirming. Yes, she says, we did laugh. That's true. I'm not surprised, Jody. Because you and I have that in common. When we are under our greatest stress, we keep balanced with humor. Actually, Jeannie is saying, enjoy your dinner, Sal. That's because she knows I normally go for Chinese dinner on a Sunday night. I'm not going tonight. I was later than normal, or I thought I was, until I realized the clocks went forward. Duh. And I decided, do I want to go for dinner tonight? And I went, something? I'm tired. I have a lot of things that I need to plan for the week. And I'm going to take the time to just relax and look after me. So I just, one of the first things I did this morning was to send a note and saying I won't be there for Chinese tonight, but I'll see you soon. So all of you, whether you are in the broadcast or watching in the shadows, let us concentrate on this week, on perhaps the two greatest lessons. Number one, other people's lack of planning should not need to constitute your stress. In other words, if people have failed to plan properly and are trying to put that stress onto you, put up the boundary and go, hey, I know that you want me to get this done by next Friday. And quite honestly, if you'd let me know that 2 weeks ago, I would have done it. But owing to the fact you only told me today, you and I both know that's not my problem. So I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not going to stress out about it. So make other plans. That's number one thing. Don't let other people's lack of planning become your stress. And number two, lower your expectations. Don't think everything in life is going to go perfectly, because that is not realistic. It doesn't. You know, when the days that some of you watched us do December, do we expect December to go perfectly? Of course not. You know, I don't know if you know it. Can any of you remember the December where I ended up sort of co-hosting for about 2 hours towards the end? Do any of you remember that one? Because I don't normally co-host December. But how many of you were there the year that I did? And what I want to tell you was, I assure you that something went really wrong. And it required that Benji leave. And all he did is he walked by me and said, Sal, can you carry on until we get back? And I said, sure, honey, no problem. And, you know, I didn't ask what the problem was. I didn't ask, you know, because obviously whatever it was critical. And it's like, don't let's waste time. All he needed to know was, would I hold the fort and do whatever was necessary to keep the thing rolling while they sorted out whatever was going on. And I just said, no problem, honey, no problem. And then the funny thing was, what I did was, it was the year that we had Super Mario with us. And we also had somebody else that was, we had Benji's father with us, both great characters, both loved to be center of attention. So I realized that even though I agreed to keep it going, I didn't need to be doing it. I needed to make sure that it kept rolling to the best, in my mind, the best continuity for the viewer. And I knew that they really loved Super Mario, and I knew that they always loved to see Gramps. So to me, it was like, okay, fine, I took over just to be that continuity moment, but then I then involved them to get them to entertain the viewers. And you see, that is what Benji needed of me. Does that make sense to you all? His expectation wasn't that I necessarily did it. He just knew that he needed to give me that look that said, we're in big trouble here. Can you hold the fort? And the answer is yes. I didn't say, what do you need me to do? I already knew what hold the fort meant. It means the wheels are coming off and we need to keep this rolling. So you look at it, and how many of you understand that his expectation was not that it would go perfectly? It wouldn't be as good as if he did it. His expectation was that I would do my best. And how do I know that? I trained Benji, right? And it isn't about perfection. And by the way, I personally think that the couple of hours that the Super Mario and Gramps and I did were great fun for everybody, including us. And it was like, you know, life isn't perfect, people. When you expect it to be perfect, you will be disappointed. And so here is the thing. Don't allow other people's stress to become yours. And number two, lower your expectation. Wish me luck. It's going to be one heck of a ride. This is Dear Mama Sal saying I love you dearly. Thank you for being here, whether you're in the shadows or actually in the chit chat. And most of all, be happy. None of us know if we're going to be here next week. I hope we will. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, love you dearly. Thanks for supporting one another. And Coco, so great to see you again. Bye-bye for now.